Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today guys, we are going to read Toby's story, chapter 11, and guys, let's get started. Chapter 11. I brought the ball back to the man while he and Fran talked. The little kid seemed to be begging him for something, just like my brothers and sisters, and I used to beg and whine for milk from my mother, and I used to beg and whine for milk from my mother when we were hungry. Please, Daddy, can we, please, let's take Toby. Let's take Toby, they kept saying, ankles and knees. Ankles and knees, and anything else I could reach. Well, I'll think about it, the man said. That's all I can say. Today's not a good day. Today's not a good day to decide anything, but I'll give it a lot of thought. My new friends did not say anything after that. Once they had gone, Dorothy came out in her wheelchair and threw the ball for me a few more times. That was fun, and it was nice to have so many people who wanted to play. Mana had to leave then, swimming lessons. She said to me, We'll do more work tomorrow. Okay? Toby, you're a good dog. You did good today. And those kids. She kissed me goodbye, and then she went away. I wandered around to see if I could find Eddie and some bacon. No luck, but a few of my other friends had treats for me in their pockets. In little dishes next to their beds. Delicious. I stopped by a door of a room. I had not been inside very often. I did not quite understand that people did in there. Sometimes they lay on tables and pulled at ropes that there were attached to heavy weights. Sometimes they perched on old machines and turned pedals with their feet. Sometimes they even sat on the floor and moved their arms and legs around. It looked sort of a playing game. But as far as I could tell, they were not having fun. Today I caught a familiar scent. As I stood by the door, I hurried in to investigate Granddad and Tyler. Granddad was leaning on the bars of his metal cage next to a very strange contraption. There was a long, thin, flat surface, sort of a table, but only a few inches. But the ground, I sniffed at it. It smelled rubbery. Some bars stuck up from one end with handles to hold. I wondered what it was doing there, and why Tyler and Granddad were both looking at it. Why do people spend so much time looking at things that cannot play with or eat? Granddad was frowning. His shoulders were hunched up a little. I recognized what his body was saying. He looked like I felt when Mana wanted me to do training, and I would rather play. Tyler was standing nearby. Come on, Granddad, he begged. Was Tyler trying to make Granddad do training? He needed some treats. That would probably help. I've got better things to do than walk and get nowhere, Granddad said gruffly. It's boring. It's boring. So you're bored for 5 minutes, Tyler said. Please, Mom said you have to. I didn't have to do what your mother says, young man. Just 5 minutes, Granddad snorted. 1 minute. That's it. Then you and your mother stop pestering me. He put the walking cage to one side. Tyler took it and moved it away a little bit. Then Granddad stepped up on the flat rubbery surface. I was about to leave since no one had any treats or chicken here. But then something remarkable happened. The surface Granddad was standing on started to move. I was so surprised that I barked at it. Tyler laughed a little. Granddad looked down and smiled very briefly. His feet were moving. He was walking, but not going anywhere. This was strange. I needed to find out more. I jumped up on the black surface right behind him. Granddad, it moved underneath me. I stared down at it in astonishment, and then suddenly I was falling off. I plopped down into the carpet behind the contraption as Tyler laughed more, and even Granddad chuckled. He was not quite so grumpy about his training now. I did not like being dumped off like that. I jumped right back up behind Granddad, trying to catch up with his feet. Up behind Granddad, trying to catch up with his feet. It was hard. Me back. Quickly, I learned that I had to keep my feet moving. If I did that, I didn't get whisked away and deposited on the carpet. It was a little like running with Tyler. A little bit running like Tyler. Like with Tyler and the. It was a little like running with Tyler and the boys, except that we weren't outside. Outside with all the good smells. Still, it was fun. Granddad was walking up and I was walking. We were walking together. I barked up at him and he laughed. Good dog, Toby, Tyler said. What's going on here? Asked the voice behind him. I looked over. There was Fran. I could not spare her much attention, though. If I stopped concentrating on my feet, I started to slide away from Granddad. Toby's doing the treadmill with my grandfather, Tyler said. They've been on there for 10 minutes already. 10 minutes, really? Fran said. She surrounded her prize. Good enough. Enough, Granddad said. He was starting to breathe a little heavily, just like Tyler did when he ran. The walking cage ready for him. Good. Ready for him. Good boy, Toby, Tyler said. Maybe you should get on a treadmill with him every time. Well, it's more interesting with Toby, Granddad admitted. After that, I did treadmill with Granddad most a days. When my other friends saw us playing, they wanted me to do treadmill with them, too. I walked with lots of people and surface moving under us. Sometimes I'd even wait by the machine until a friend came along. "Wanna walk, Toby?" he or she would say and get on with me. I I liked I liked doing treadmill. It was almost as much fun as bringing the ball back to Dorothy, or playing chase in the halls with Mana. Sometimes Fran came to watch me. She stands with her arms folded, and I trotted along next to my friends. As I lay in my bed at night, though, I wondered about all the games I played. When I walked on the treadmill with Granddad, I felt like his dog. When I chased the hall for Dorothy and she stroked my ears, I was hers. I was hers. When Tyler and I ran with the other boys, it seemed like I was his. Most often I was Mana's dog when we did training, or I played chase, but it didn't seem right for me to belong to all those people at once. A dog was meant to be with people. I knew that deep down. That's why we left our first families. Dogs, dogs and people were supposed to be together. But now, could I belong to one person or after another? Whose dog was I really? Granddad or Dorothy's? Mana's or Tyler's or Patsy's? When I lay there in the dark, these thoughts would begin to bother me as much as my feet used to. Then I'd hop up and go out into the dimly lit hallways. It couldn't it could it could be hard to find a friend that night. The room with the couches and the black box and the pictures on it was always quiet and empty. So was the treadmill, and lots of the doors were closed. I wandered restlessly, restlessly, sniffing at each door I came to until one or another gave way under my paws or my nose. Then I'd go in and see if a friend was inside, lying on a bed. I'd hop up and curl up in a ball near the person's feet, and after a while I'd fall asleep. But sleeping did not make the thoughts go away, not entirely. Whom did I truly belong to? Most mornings Mana came to find me, but after the day I'd been I'd been a good dog for playing with the kids on the lawn. It was Patsy who took me out and brought me my breakfast. Then she'd call to me and to come. I trotted at her heels, and we came to a room where Mana was lying on a bed. That was funny. It was my other friends, like Granddad or Dorothy, who lay on the beds, not usually Mana. I ran up to the bed with my tail wagging. What was wrong? What was going on? I could smell the clean white sheets with her soapy smell, and of course the smell of Mana herself, warm and welcoming and loving. Then my tail started to beat even faster. I could smell treats too. Mana had treats. I jumped up in the bed and sniffed all around, trying to find trying to find them. Mona did not move. Lie still, Toby, Patsy said firmly. Where were those treats? I sniffed Mona's hand. Not there. I burrowed my nose into her clothes. Lie still. Patsy pushed on my rear end so that my legs folded up under me. That reminded me, we were playing training, obviously. I knew about training. I did what a person said, and then came the treats. Treats! So exciting. I was thinking so much about the treats that I couldn't quite remember what Patsy had asked me to do. Lie, wasn't it? I was already sitting, so I was halfway there. I stretched my front legs out flat on the bed for 2 seconds, and then I bounced back up. There I'd done lay. Treat now? No treat. Mona still didn't move. He's not getting it, Patsy said with a sigh. Something else? It. I was supposed to do something. I was supposed to do something else. I was tired. I tried to sit. I drooled a little. Mona sighed. I remembered Eddie's trick, and I stuck a paw up in the air. There, this time I was sure I'd done it, but it seemed that I hadn't. The smell of the treats. The smell of the treats was all around me, making me quiver. Mona still wasn't moving. Why wasn't she moving? Didn't she want to play? Was something wrong? Toby lied, Patsy stared to say. But I interrupted her. I remembered my last trick. Eddie had taught me this one. It was called Speak. I barked once. Then I did it a few more times in case Mona and Patsy hadn't noticed. The door swung to our room swung open, and Mona sat up on the bed. I jumped into her laps, nosing around for the treats. Was she going to keep them all for herself? So unfair! Fran stood in the doorway, looking irritated. Why is the dog barking? She asked. We are training him, Mona said nervously. He just got kind of confused. Training him, Mona said nervously. He just got kind of confused. Training him? Why? You know, I said he needs to go to a new home. We're just, Mona began. Patsy put a hand on her shoulder. Mona wanted to keep working with him while we looked for a new home, she said calmly to Fran. Did you put an ad in the paper? Fran asked. Yes, I did. No one's called it. Excuse me, said a voice behind Fran. Is Toby in there? It was Tyler. He was wearing shorts and white shoes with thick rubbery soles. He looked like that when he went running. Since Mona had forgotten how to do training properly, I jumped off the bed and dodged past Fran's high heels to sniff at Tyler's shoes. They smelled like rubber and dirt and trash and all of the amazing things about outside. I loved his shoes. I licked them happily. Can Toby come out for a run? Tyler asked, looking from Fran to Patsy or to Mona. If it's okay. And run? Fran looked confused. Yeah, he runs with me sometimes. All the boys in the club really like it when he comes. They sent me in to ask. So he runs with you, Fran gave Patsy a funny look. funny look. Would you like to keep him? She asked Tyler. Tyler had dropped down to one knee and to greet me properly, scratching around my neck and rubbing his hands along my back. I wiggled with pleasure. No, I can't. We're only staying up here for summer to be near my grandfather. He's a great dog, though. Someday I want one like him. Too bad, but take him for a run, by all means, Fran said. He seems to have plenty of energy. Mona slipped off the bed. I'll get his leash. I'll be outside stretching, Tyler said. Thanks for letting Toby come with me. He left, and Mona called to me to go with her. The boy, he's got a crush, doesn't he? I heard Fran say to Patsy. As I followed Mona down the hall, Mona took me outside and handed my leash to Tyler. She didn't give me a treat for doing come properly, though maybe she forgot because her heart was beating quickly and her face was hot, as if she'd been running too. This time I ran with my leash on, which was a little different from before, but it was still fantastic. We passed so many trash cans, and I barked at a cat who sped away and jumped up on the railing of a porch, and I even saw one of those bouncy animals. I'd heard Tyler calling them rabbits darting into a bush. So exciting! Tyler ran closer to the boys, and I did not have to choose between sticking with the pack and staying with my friends. I liked that. When the pack and between sticking with the pack and staying with my friend. I'd like that. When we got back, he took me in the front door and gave my leash to Mona instead of leaving me to wiggle through the hole in the fence. Mona seemed to know what I needed. She led me straight to my water dish and watched while I gulped down half of it. It was so refreshing. Good run, Toby, she asked me when I lifted up my head and shook it. It so that drops of water from my muzzle sprayed in all directions. But we have to keep training, she told me. Her voice was serious. We don't have much time. Let's do it again. You're a smart dog. Toby, you'll get this, I hope. I wagged for smart dog in case it was anything like. Good dog. Mona kept my leash on and took me down the hall. Patsy was waiting for us. Can we go in and see Dorothy? Mona asked her mother. She's not having a good day, Patsy answered. She's in some pain, but she does want to see Toby. It's worth a try. They took me into a room. And my friend Dorothy was lying on bed just like Mona and had been earlier. Hi, Dorothy, Mona said. Do you want to see Toby? Could he lie with you a little bit? Yes, Dorothy said from the bed. Her voice sounded soft. Well, I'm not sure how long he'll stay, Mona said, but we'll try. He likes you. Gently, she lifted me up and put me on the bed by Dorothy's side. From the bed, her voice sounded soft. Wait. Dorothy sighed. I sniffed her face. She smelled tired and unhappy. I remembered how I felt when my feet had been so so sore, and all I'd want sore, and all I'd wanted to do was sleep. Maybe Dorothy's feet were hurting her just like mine used to. Used to. Her soft, gentle hands came to rub my ears with her light touch. "Good job, Toby," she asked. "Good job, Toby," she said. I'd licked at her fingers. Then I yawned. After such a long run, my legs were tired. I curled up in a ball right next to Dorothy's side. It was good to feel her warmth along my back, just as I used to feel the closeness of my mother and my little mates when we'd sleep all huddled together. Look, again, and closed my eyes. Time for a nap. It was nice to nap with a friend. "Oh, good boy, Toby," I heard Mona say. I wagged once for being a good boy, and then I fell asleep. After a while, I didn't really know how long I'd felt myself slowly awakening. First, my ears were aware of Dorothy's steady, slow breathing. Then my nose picked up her scent, and Mona's and Patsy and Fran nearby. "See, he's doing really well," I heard Patsy say softly. Dorothy was having trouble getting any rest with Toby beside her. She just drifted right off. I heard Fran say. "He's such a good dog," Mona said. I knew those words. My eyes opened to take in my three friends. I wagged. "Good dog, Toby," Mona said again. She pulled a bag of treats out of her pocket in her jeans. So that's where she'd been hiding them. And poured several into her palm. She offered them to me, and her voice was warm and happy. "Such good lie still," she praised me. I loved to hear her voice like that, but I had no idea why she was bringing up lie still again. I was happy to have the treats, though. After I'd gobbled them down, I stood up on the bed and stretched. "Careful, Toby." Mona picked me up cautiously. Don't wake Dorothy." She put me on the ground, and I shook all over. I felt good after my long run and my nap. It was probably time to go and look for Eddie. He might have some bacon. I dodged between Fran's feet, and she let out a startled noise. A startled noise. Then I tore out of the room and dashed down the hall, dodging around some of my friends walking with their metal cages and one chair with wheels. "Oh, Toby," I heard Mona groan, and she played chase with me all the way to the kitchen. Chapter 12, guys. So, guys, we're going to end this video right here. And, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And, guys, I hope you're having a fantastic day and a fantastic summer. And, guys, I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye. See you next time.